What's good, y'all? It's HB Punch and Profit. We got a banger tonight. David Benavidez versus David Morrell, and this is truly a treat for the fans. We got two young fighters undefeated entering into their primes, and it's going to be exciting. David Morrell, if you don't know who he is, he's an exciting fighter. Now, do I think he could have used three or four more fights to gain a little more experience to be truly prepared for this matchup against uh, David Benavidez? Yes, that would have gone a long way. But sometimes, opportunity calls, and it's either now or never. And if he's truly that guy, if he's truly that up and coming guy in the division, he's gonna make it happen. And if he's not, he's not. Okay, and that doesn't mean we should dispose of him if he loses tonight. That doesn't mean we should stop paying attention. It depends on the performance, right? But if he puts on a solid performance and gives David Benavidez a great fight, just because he has an L on his record doesn't mean we should dispose of him. He, with a few more fights, and if he gets some more big names under his belt, he could potentially be a big threat in the division, and we may see him do that tonight. He may prove to us and pull off a major upset tonight. He has that type of talent and ability, but I think he's a little green in terms of his technique and skill. So obviously, I'm leaning towards David Benavidez tonight. I think he's more the complete fighter. I think he's more of the seasoned fighter. I think his skill set is complete in this, or compared to David Morell. I think his style makes more sense to me. We know David Benavidez is very versatile, but he wants to come forward, lots of volume, put on the pressure, that Mexican style, okay? Old school Mexican style of fighting, but he has great hand speed. He has great combinations and good distance, understanding of distance and timing. And I think David Morrell is a little off in some of those areas, and I think that is because he's probably needs a few more fights to polish that. Now, usually I don't really care about experience because you've seen a guy like well, it depends on the context, right? You've seen a guy like Vasily Lomachenko have little to no professional fights. Within his first several fights, he's taken championship matchups and he's dominating. Okay, he's dominating. So, but then you take into consideration he has a very rich amateur pedigree. I'm not very familiar with David Morrell's amateur pedigree, how long he's been boxing. Um, but it's kind of a different context for him. I just see stylistically and skill wise he's lacking a little bit, and he needs more experience to polish those things. And I don't really understand stylistically where he wants to go. I know that maybe he's like a boxer puncher per se, right? He kind of likes to put a little bit pressure and take his opponents out, but he kind of does it through boxing in the middle of the ring, or sometimes he'll come forward. But I don't know if he's doing that against guys who aren't as talented. If he's able to get away with his what he's doing right now and putting lots of pressure and knocking guys out because he's just facing opponents who lack a little bit of talent and ability. So it's hard to tell, but we will see tonight what David Morrell is truly capable of. But I tell you what, if David Morrell can find a way to win tonight, I think he'll be in the Canelo sweepstakes. Why? And I know a lot of you think that sounds crazy, and it's not. And I'll tell you why. And a lot of you thought I was crazy when I said Terrence Crawford. Okay, when I said Terrence Crawford was probably going to get a matchup with Canelo Alvarez. Now, we don't know if that fight's going to go down, but a lot of you, after he beat Earl Spence Jr., I was one of the few people saying that that match was probably going to happen. Like I said, we don't know until we get that press conference with Crawford and Canelo. But a lot of you called that crazy, and it doesn't sound so much crazy right now. It's a big money fight on the line, and you're gonna call me crazy for saying that Terrence Crawford is going to beat Canelo Alvarez. But you'll see, you called me crazy when I said Usyk was gonna beat Fury, when I said that Usyk was going to beat Anthony Joshua, when I said Terrence Crawford was going to beat Earl Spence Jr. So keep on calling me crazy. I just keep proving y'all wrong. If David Morrell wins tonight, I think he'll be next up in line to face Canelo Alvarez. I think Canelo Alvarez would love that matchup. Canelo Alvarez is on his cherry picking season. Okay, he only wants to pick fights that are going to bring him money and easy victories. Okay, now we'll see. Maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe he takes the Benavidez fight later. Maybe he takes a fight with Artur Beterbiev or Bilal. Maybe he takes a fight with Terrence Crawford. And I'll give him a lot of credit for that because I don't think that's as easy as a fight for Canelo as most people are claiming it will be. But if David Morrell wins tonight, I think he'll be salivating to get that matchup. He'll be able to justify it by saying he's a naturally bigger guy. Okay, I can go take some belts. And this guy is a little bit green. He's a little bit inexperienced. And stylistically, I match up against David Morrell way better than I do David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez is a stylistic matchup for Canelo Alvarez. And I can give you every reason why. David Benavidez, my only question for him, as polished as he is, as much as I like his skill in his technique and stylistically what he does, that Mexican pressure fighter style, I'm just trying to figure out if Benavidez is just a weight bully. I don't think he is, but we're seeing him step up to the light heavyweight division. His last performance against Alexander Gotzik was solid. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the dominating performance we're usually used to seeing him when he's facing smaller guys. But remember, like I always tell you guys, do not underestimate those Eastern Bloc fighters or Ukrainian guys. They're really good. Alexander Gotzik only lost to Artur Beterbiev, and his second loss was to David Benavidez, and he held his own in that fight. Eastern Bloc fighter, light heavyweight guy. So I give David Benavidez, as much as it wasn't his dominating performance, I give him a lot of credit for his last victory. Okay, but we will see tonight. David Morrell is a bigger dude. Okay, he has some pop in his punch. He has good power, has lots of talent. And I think we will see if David Benavidez is more of a weight bully tonight or not. But regardless, he matches up better against Canelo Alvarez than David Morrell. Or David Morrell is a better matchup for Canelo Alvarez than David Benavidez. Benavidez is a taller, rangier guy than Canelo Alvarez. He has great hand speed. He has punches and bunches, volume, something that we don't usually see from Canelo. Canelo tends to gas out in the later rounds. Canelo likes to kind of pot shot, break you down to the body. Not to say that he doesn't throw combos, but he doesn't have as much volume as Benavidez. He doesn't have the range Benavidez has. He doesn't have the hand speed David Benavidez has. David Benavidez can probably match him in power, if roughly speaking, maybe more. I'm not going to say more, but maybe. And it's just it's a nightmare matchup for him. It's a nightmare matchup for Canelo Alvarez, and I think he'd rather see David Morrell win tonight and set himself up to take on David Morrell and justify that, and it'll be an easy payday for him. Okay, but don't let's not underestimate David Morrell. He's a phenomenal talent, and like I said, if he had 3 or 4 more fights against some decent names, I think he would have been a problem, a serious problem for anybody in the light heavyweight division. But he's a little bit green. His last fight didn't look so great. It seemed like he got a little bit exposed and exploited, and that's why I think David Benavidez is actually trying to jump on this opportunity. He's probably thinking better to catch him now when he's raw and he's not a complete fighter than to catch him later in the future. Okay, it's better to catch him now than later. So David Benavidez should knock David Morrell, not knock him out literally, but knock him out of the way, and then he can try and get for Bivol, whoever wins that matchup with Bivol and Beterbiev, or he may have to wait if they have a trilogy. So this is going to be exciting. This is going to be a fun fight, but I think David Benavidez is going to pull it off. I think he get a W on the scorecards, and he's going to move on, and he's going to try to get that matchup for undisputed against Beterbiev or Bivol, but he may have to wait a long time, especially if Bivol gets that second victory. We're probably going to be in for a trilogy. Okay, so look, this is HB, Punch and Profit. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe. You Canelo fangirls, bring it on. I'm ready for all the smoke. I know I hurt your feelings, but I just call it like I see it. I call it like I see it. Go watch some of my other videos. I've predicted a lot of things that you guys thought were crazy. Once again, I'll repeat that. I said that Usyk was going to be undisputed at heavyweight. A lot of you thought that was stupid at a certain point. Now you don't, after you saw what happened, but I was calling that out way before he faced Anthony Joshua. I said that Terrence Crawford would dog walk Earl Spence Jr. A lot of you thought I was freaking crazy for saying he was going to dog walk him, and he did. That was one of Terrence Crawford's easiest fights. A lot of you said I was crazy for saying that. I believe that Terrence Crawford will go up and face Canelo Alvarez, and I think that's a great matchup. And I actually think that Terrence Crawford will win that fight. And you're gonna call me, you called me crazy, and now they're having discussions. And now we don't know if that fight's gonna go down, but they're having discussions, and it seems pretty serious. Wouldn't shock me if Canelo ducks Terrence Crawford and faces some no-name cab driver again, but we'll see. I think there's so much money in that fight with Turkey Al Sheikh waving his freaking or waving his dollars at Canelo that he's gonna have a hard time refusing these matchups. But Canelo's gonna do what Canelo wants to do, and his fans are gonna support what garbage he wants to put on the table. But we'll see. I will give Canelo a chance to prove me wrong and take on and give us the matchups, whether it be against Benavidez or whether it be against the undisputed champ at light heavyweight. And I would even respect him if he taked on Terrence Crawford, because I don't think that's as easy as a matchup as most of you are making it out to be. I think he's a problem for Canelo Alvarez. But get at me, you guys. Let's see what happens tonight. I will be on for the post fight analysis later. Peace.